Hello, winners! This is Brenda Underwood coming to you live tonight, the Breakthrough Strategist, to help you budding or help with budding entrepreneurs that are looking to start their own business. Okay, so you know me, I start right on time. I'm not one of those people who are going to be waiting around for people to show up. You may have to go back and listen to it from the beginning to get all the nuggets that I plan to give to you tonight. And so tonight is all about, okay, you've decided you want to start your own business. We like to call that at Breakthrough for Life budding entrepreneurs. So you're a budding entrepreneur, and now you are faced with, what business structure do I use to start my business? And so, first, let me do a disclaimer. This is not legal advice. This is not tax advice. This is just giving you a survey of the options for you to explore so you can determine what is right for you. Okay. So, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of all. When you decide you want to start your business and you select one of the more complicated business structures, then you're going to want to reach out to an attorney and get some help with that, because this live is not designed to replace a tax CPA or to replace attorney advisement. This is simply a survey of the options that are available for you. And I am located in the state of Georgia. So I'm going to talk mostly from the aspect of what Georgia requires. You're going to want to check and do research on your particular state with regards to these different business structures that you can select. And so I always like to start off and just kind of talk about what I do. One of the things that I specialize in is I help the 87% of people who are unhappy on their jobs connect their purpose with their paycheck. And for the people who select to connect their purpose with their paycheck through an entrepreneurial journey, I help them make their job optional until they can make their job obsolete. A second thing that I do is I work with people who are in their dream jobs, absolutely love what they do, wouldn't want to do anything else, but they're workaholics. And those workaholics often don't have time to enjoy the fruit of their labor. They often don't have time to relax and enjoy family, build relationship, parent their kids, things of that nature. And I help them create the work-life balance so they can be productive and efficient and sharp on the job, because they take time to sharpen their axe off the job. And that is something that will help fuel your creativity and your problem solving, get rid of some of that brain fog that you experience when you're a workaholic. And as one of my friends said, Dana, when we were in Bible college together, she said, Brenda, you like to burn the stick at both ends. And so I've been there. Hi, my name is Brenda, and I am a recovering workaholic. And so I've been there. And so I like to help leaders really cross the bridge to where they're enjoying their work, but they also enjoy the work, the fruits of their labor as well. And then the third thing that I do is I help people, and I call this my heart passion. I help people break through the barriers that hinder them from being women of action. I help you deal with the fear, the indecision, the insecurities, so that you can crush those barriers so that you can live a life that you are excited to wake up to every day. And that's through my Barrier Breaker program. And so when we talk today, this is primarily for people who are looking to make their job optional. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my hotspot, because my AT&T is acting like it wants to be complicated. So if it pauses for a moment, please come back and join me. I'm just switching over from AT&T to my Verizon hotspot, which is a lot more reliable most of the time. So with all that being said, let's get right on into it. When we talk about business structures, what you need to understand, that there are business structures for your business, but then there are tax structures for your business as well. And so we're going to start off talking about the easiest one. So there are 3 things that you want to consider when you are considering how you're going to form your small business. One of the things that you want to make sure that you're looking at and consider when you're starting a small business is that you understand the liability considerations. So what are liability considerations? Liability considerations are, what is your exposure to being sued? So if you get sued in your business, can they come take your house, your car, and those different things from you? That's what you want to consider when you're considering a business structure. The other thing you want to consider when you're considering a business structure is you want to consider your tax exposure. You want to consider, how am I going to be taxed? There's such a thing as double taxation, depending on the structure that you select. And an accountant can help you really dive in and select the right form for your business, a good accountant that can reduce your tax liability. So that's another thing that you want to consider when you're considering starting a business: your liability and your tax consideration. The other thing that you want to consider is the management of it. If you have a board of directors, you have a variety of things, then managing that can be a little bit more complicated than some of the easier business forms that are out there. So you want to consider how you have to manage that business according to your business form. So now, the business structures that are out there are LLC, partnership, nonprofit, and corporation. So we're not going to talk about nonprofits in this live today. We are only going to talk about LLC, partnership, corporations, and sole proprietorship. So let's start off with the sole proprietorship. When you look at sole proprietorship and you look at a sole proprietorship in the area of liability, you're totally exposed. Hear me when I say that. If you operate your business as a sole proprietorship, which is the easiest one to manage, because basically a sole proprietorship is basically you as the person owns the business and you set your business up as a DBA. So if I did a sole proprietorship, my business would be Brenda Underwood, because all sole proprietorships go under your name, and then it's doing business as Breakthrough for Life. If something was to happen in that business, you have full exposure to liability. That means that if you get sued on the business end, they can attach your personal assets, your paid for car, house, 401ks, things of that nature if you get sued on the business side. Vice versa. If you get sued on the personal side, let's say you run over somebody's kid playing in the cul-de-sac and they sue you for wrongful death or something of that nature, they can attach all of your personal assets as well as all of your business assets. So sole proprietor is risky. Your peace of mind with sole proprietor, if you're in a particular industry, like you're a health coach or you're in fitness or you're a trainer, where someone gets injured, they may sue you because of, them 25 sit-ups you told me to do. Gave me a hernia and now I'm going to sue you. If you're in one of those type of industries, you definitely want to think carefully about a sole proprietorship because you carry full lawsuit liability. Okay. Now, as far as taxes goes, it's easy peasy. I mean, it's easy. Basically, everything you make in the business, you do it on your taxes, a Schedule C. Of course, you want to get with a tax accountant. When it comes to how you do your taxes, this is not designed to replace a tax accountant. It's just designed to give you a survey of the different options that are available for you. So the taxes are easy because you basically are, it's basically added onto your regular taxes, and you do a Schedule C to outline what your business expenses are, your investments, your P&L, things of that nature. So a sole proprietor is the simplest, but it's not the cheapest one either, at least in the state of Georgia. When you start your sole proprietorship, you got to pay, I believe when I did it like years ago, 8 years ago, I started out as a sole proprietor because that was the easiest one. I only had a couple of clients a month. It was no big deal. I didn't want to create a very complicated tax situation for myself. So I did sole proprietor, and I had to pay, like, I think it was $190 to do it as a DBA. I had to pay for the licensing for my particular county, things of that nature. You still have to pay for the licensing in whatever county you live in, but I didn't have to pay that extra $190 to do a DBA if I had chosen to do an LLC, which is what we're going to talk about next. So when you begin to look at the sole proprietorship, you want to look at all the costs that are involved with filing a sole proprietorship and a DBA for your name. And when you do that, you also need to do a trademark for your name through your local county so that someone else can't come and take your business name. So a sole proprietorship, it's unlimited liability, easy on the taxes, easy to manage, easy to exit, no peace of mind, because if you get sued, everything you've earned on both your business and personal side are exposed. The pros to it is it's very simple. It's not complicated, okay? So that's the sole proprietorship. When you look at the most popular form for small businesses these days is an LLC. Now, I'm going to give you a warning. If someone offers you $250 to do your LLC, you need to run for the hills and never do business with them again, because they are taking advantage of you. This is what someone offered me when I wanted to do my LLC. There's like, oh, first her quote was all over the place. One minute it was this, next minute it was that. And then she's going to charge me $255. Well, at the time I was getting office space from an attorney. And so I asked the attorney, with the LLC, is $255 a lot to pay for an LLC? And my attorney, the lady that I was getting office space from, she's real direct. You think I'm direct. She's like direct on level 10. And she looked at me, she said, Brenda, you're smart enough to spend 15 minutes on the computer and do your own LLC. And it's not going to cost you $255. So it was $255 plus the fees for the LLC. Okay, so it was going to be $355 in the state of Georgia. And so I said, I can do it myself. She said, yes, Brenda, in a matter of 15 minutes, you can do it yourself. Okay, so don't go pay somebody, $355 to set up your LLC. Literally, my attorney was 100% correct. I spent 15 minutes on the computer, set up my LLC, paid for it, and got it back, since I did it electronically, like in 4 days. They tell you, I think it's going to take two to 4 weeks to get approved for your LLC, but it only took me 3 or 4 days. So it could take 3 or 4 days or up to 2 weeks. What you want to do when you're looking at an LLC, you want to first protect your company name. So you want to go for Georgia, you want to go to the Secretary of State of Georgia, and you want to put in your business name and see if anybody else has that business name. Now, understand, when you get an LLC in your particular state, it only protects you within that state. So someone can go and take your name. If you don't trademark it, they can go and take your name and be over in New Mexico with the exact same business name. And if they're extremely unethical, they'll rip your website off, and they can have a whole business that looks like yours in another state. So whatever your business name is, I strongly urge you to look at the option of getting your business name and logo trademarked so no one else can take it. Because if your business blows up, trust me, people love to leech off of successful businesses. So you want to protect yourself in that fashion. So your LLC, when you get your business name, it only protects you in the state of your LLC. Okay. Trademark will protect you across the United States. So when you look at getting an LLC, let's talk about the liability of it. An LLC is not an actual tax structure according to the IRS.gov. It is not a tax structure. So if you have an LLC that is a one member, because LLCs don't have partners, LLC has members. So if it is a one member LLC, it is going to be taxed like a sole proprietor. If it is a Multi-member LLC is going to be taxed like a partnership. Both of those are what is considered pass-through entities, but they also hold, what was I going to say? There is also some liability. It's limited liability company, not total protection. Okay. So there's a thing that is called the corporate veil. So with an LLC, and really with a lot of with any of these business structures, if you breach the corporate veil and you start using your company business card to pay for personal things, that is piercing the corporate veil. So it can cause you legal issues, and you'd want to advise an attorney with regards to this legal issues if you're mixing your personal and business accounts, money, and credit cards inexchangeably. Then there is no corporate veil. You've pierced it. And so now a good attorney with right out of law school can then attach your personal assets to your business if you don't keep that corporate veil solid. So let's talk about, how do you keep your corporate veil solid for the most part? One, you need to have an EIN number from the IRS. And when you apply for that EIN number from the IRS, which is free, if someone's trying to charge you to get you an EIN number, they're ripping you off. They're not operating with integrity. Okay. The EIN number is free. It's going to ask you, what is your business entity? If you put LLC, it's going to ask you, is it a one member or multi-member? And then you're going to select how you want to be taxed. So if you're a one member, you're automatically going to be taxed as a sole proprietor, and you cannot change that. If it's a two member, you'll be taxed as a partnership. But there is this very rare thing that people don't know a lot about, is how you can be an LLC taxed as an S Corp. And so you want to do some research into that when your business starts making money, okay? Because an LLC taxed as an S Corp doesn't have the same benefits as when your business is making a certain amount of revenue, okay? We'll talk about S Corp in a moment, but back to the LLC. So with that LLC, you want to get an EIN number. You want to have a bank account that is under your EIN number. Now, the bank is going to require a Social Security number, because if fraudulent activity takes place, they need to know what person to go after, not what corporation or business to go after. So, but you want your EIN number to govern your business bank account. You want to have a separate address, possibly from your home, for your LLC, okay? So you have your EIN number, you have your LLC, you have a separate bank account, and then you run all of your money through a merchant service, PayPal, Square, Stripe, whatever merchant service you want to use. You're going to run all of your sales through that. Now, I'm talking about ethical. Look, y'all, are there ways to get around taxes? Yes, there are. I'm never going to teach that, and I try my best not to operate in that, because the simple fact of the matter is, God knows when you're cheating. You may be able to hide it from someone else. You may even be able to get by an auditor with it. But at the end of the day, as Christian business owners, we are accountable to God, and we hide nothing from him. So be above board. Yes, you could take cash sales and not report them. And you can do a variety of different things and not report it. But I promise you, ill-gotten gain will have its payday. So be careful. Let's just do it off the cuff right. I believe that God blesses integrity. So when you begin to look at making sure your corporate veil is solid, you need to have business expenses and all revenue going through your your business bank account. Then what you can do after that is make sure all your personal stuff is separate. So building business credit is a live for another day. But when you start to build business credit, there's going to be a season of time where you're going to have to personally guarantee your business credit. So you may not be able to start out with credit cards in your corporation's name, but you want to make sure that the banking is separated. Okay. You want to make sure all expenses for your business are separated from your personal. Okay. So you want to make sure as much as possible, you have credit cards in your business name so that you're running everything through that. All expenses are going through that. All of your merchant services where you're getting your revenue is going through your business name and your EIN number. Okay. Keep your personal separated and you'll keep that corporate veil solid. So in the unfortunate situation you get sued, you can protect your personal home, cars, 401k, and things of that nature. Again, you want to get with an attorney because laws change, and I'm not an attorney. So I'm just telling you things that you need to look into with an attorney or with an accountant when you start your business. So an LLC liability is semi-protected. So when I went through a course, they said you're 100% protected with an LLC. You are not, because if you pierce that corporate veil, you are not. And if you are a one-member LLC, a first-year college law student can unravel that LLC, that sole proprietor LLC, one-member LLC, and attach all your personal stuff to it. So what I strongly urge you to research is really look or talk with an attorney about having a LLC that has a silent partner of up to 25%. And you will govern that, what that silent partner or silent member can do based on your articles of organization. And so like my silent partner, he's a partner, he paid into my business. He literally has no rights to get credit in my business name. All he does is get a cut of the profit because he invested into the business. So your contracts and agreements are going to govern how your members operate within your LLC. So depending on how you have your LLC structured, you could have heavy exposure to liability as a one-member sole proprietor, which is going to be taxed like a sole proprietor, or you can have a multi-member LLC that gives you a little bit more protection. Remember, it's limited liability corporation. Limited does not mean absolutely no liability. Okay? Basic definition here. As far as taxation, it can be pretty simple. As an LLC that's a single member LLC, it's going to be taxed just like a sole proprietorship. So you are going to file your taxes as normal. If it's a multi-member LLC that's taxed like a partnership, same thing. If it is a LLC taxed as an S corp, there's some differences there. Okay, and so all three of those, S corp, LLC, and sole proprietor are all pass-through entities, but only two of them are actually tax structures. So an LLC is not considered a tax structure. That's why you have to be taxed as a sole proprietor, partnership, or a corporation. Okay. As far as peace of mind goes, you get a lot more peace of mind with a limited liability corporate company versus a sole proprietor company. Okay, so you have some peace of mind, you have some protection if you get sued. Make sure you keep your the corporate veil solid. Make sure that if you want to protect your company name and the logo, that you get it trademarked, so it covers you across the state, across multiple states. The management of it is pretty easy. The taxing of it is pretty easy. LLC is simple, and that's why it's the most popular business structure out there. Okay, so then we're going to talk about corporations. Okay, corporations is where it really gets testy. Corporations, the con to a corporation is it's complicated. You definitely want to get legal and accounting advice when you're looking at incorporating either an S corp or a C corp. So the liability on a corporation, particularly a C corp, the liability on that is you are very protected with a C corp. You are, if you get sued and you haven't pierced the corporate veil, then you have total protection. If someone sues your business, they cannot attach your 401k, your personal home, and personal cars. Vice versa. If you get sued as a corporation, as a person, they can't go after your corporation's assets. Okay, that's the big thing when you're looking at forming your business, protecting yourself, reducing your liability. Okay. The taxes can be complicated. So you definitely need to have a CPA, or you need to be well versed in it. Now, my original set of student loans was in accounting, so I do all of my own books. It's going to be a long day before I let somebody else take over my books. But when you look at a corporation, you are also looking at double taxation with a C Corp. A C Corp is going to be taxed twice. You're taxed for the profits of your business, as well as when you pay your employees. If you're the owner, when you pay yourself, you're taxed again, okay, on income taxes. So that's what is considered double taxation. You want to do some research on that. You want to ask an accountant or an attorney greater details on which corporation structure is best for you, S Corp or C Corp, as in regards to your exposure to tax liability, okay? Let's see here. S Corp files taxes as a partnership. It's much smaller. It's a little bit easier to deal with. If you, like I said earlier, if your LLC business is now churning 6 figures and into 7 figures, then you may want to consider being taxed as an S Corp, an LLC taxed as an S Corp, and get into it with your accountant on what are the tax benefits of that. Or you may decide, okay, my business has gotten up there. I want to eventually take my business public. Then you want to be a C Corp if you want to eventually go and become publicly traded, because LLCs cannot go public, at least as of the last bit of research that I've done. Okay. Let's see what else. When you have a corporation, you can, corporations always have shareholders, and sometimes I know a C Corp is required to have a board of directors, depending on what state you get it in. Because my understanding in Delaware, you don't have to have the same, it doesn't have the same requirements. So you want to look at that. As far as peace of mind, great peace of mind when you go when you have a corporation. You want to definitely look at, if you're going to go the route of incorporating, you definitely want to make sure you have a really good CPA that stays up on tax code. And I always suggest that you have an attorney on hand that can help you with the complicated things that transpire within a corporation. So now the last one we're going to talk about is partnership. Limited liability partnership. Again, that word, limited liability. So if you get sued, both of you and your partners have exposure in a lawsuit. The taxation on a limited liability or limited partnership is going to be similar to a sole proprietorship. The management of it is all going to be governed by your articles of incorporation and your partnership agreement with your partner. Let me tell you, when you look at getting a partner, don't go for people who just have the money to partner with you. Make sure you trust your partner, because your partner can take your business. Your partner can expose you to things that you never would have guessed. And so you really want to, when you're selecting to be a partner with somebody, you really want to make sure you trust that person. Even when you do trust that person, you also want to make sure you have a contract that is created by a contract attorney to protect you. Because I promise you, I've seen family members fall out over business. Don't just, the days of a handshake and your word is your bond are gone, y'all. You need to make sure that when you are working with people, that you trust them. And even in the trust, you need to have an agreement that's going to protect you in court. Okay. So that's a partnership. Your peace of mind on a partnership is is going to be a little worse than a sole proprietorship, because at the end of the day, you have another person out there making decisions based on your business that can get you into credit trouble. It can get you into tax trouble. It can get you into legal trouble. So again, you want to trust whoever you partner with. So those are all of the different ways that you can really, different ways that you really need to evaluate which form is best for you at what stage of your business. So when I talk about getting an attorney, look, if you're a startup budding entrepreneur, you usually have limited capital. Unless you've gotten some investors, you had a great business plan and you've gotten some people to invest in your business, that's different, but you still need to be a good steward over it, because you got to pay them people back eventually, right? So when you begin to look at getting an attorney, I just want to talk to you about that a little bit. Look, as a budding entrepreneur, you can do stuff like prepaid legal, legal Zoom. There's a lot of assistance out there for startups. Or you can go on the hunt for a good attorney. Look, I'm a big person of word of mouth, and I'm a big person of personal reference. The lady who has helped me with my legal journey, she is a personal friend of a good friend of mine. And so she referred her to me. So ask your social group, can anybody recommend a good attorney? Because looking for a good attorney is like looking for a good doctor, like looking for a good therapist, like looking for any good professional. There are the bad ones and there are the good ones. You want an attorney that stays on top of it, that is constantly renewing their mind with regards to the current law at hand. You do not want to get an attorney that got a law degree 30 years ago and never looked at another case study. That's not the attorney you want. You want someone who's going to be cutting edge and going to be sharp and you can trust, okay? So I strongly suggest that when you start as a budding entrepreneur, when you start your business, you want to look at LegalZoom, prepaid legal, and some of those types of service. So you have someone you can call. I used prepaid legal for years, even as a person. Before I even had a business, I had prepaid legal. And the beauty of a prepaid legal is you get unlimited questions that you can ask. They'll represent you in court for a certain number of hours. I think I used to pay like $50 a month for the prepaid legal. That was phenomenal for me. I could call and ask questions about contracts, things of that nature. And it was very helpful. So that's something you may want to look into as part of your startup costs. As a budding entrepreneur, what you want to do is you want to take care of those intangibles while you're still employed, so that when you quit your job, that you are able to quit your job and you're just basically moving where you get your paycheck from. Take care of the intangibles, the structure of your business, building your social media audience, deciding what type of marketing strategy you're going to use to go after your business, just deciding how you're going to offer your services and how you're going to distribute your products. All of that stuff, decide all of that. Those are the intangibles that you need to decide on before you quit your job, because there's a long day between starting your business and earning a profit. That gap in between the two is pretty wide. Take that gap while you're still employed, so that when you're still employed, you can be paying for and handling all of these intangibles, so that when you switch over, you are simply switching over to another revenue stream. For a little while there, if you do it right, if you do your workplace exit strategy right, your new business can be an additional stream of income for you for a short period of time while you are working your workplace exit strategy. Okay. So you want to really sit down and think about what's everything that I need to do to start my business before I quit my job. Okay. You don't want to quit your job and then start working on starting your business. No, you want to start your business while you're still employed. That way you won't make financial suicide. You won't commit financial suicide, because if you quit your job and then start your business and start all of the intangibles with it, you're going to have a longer day before you get a paycheck. When I quit my business, I started my business in August of 2013, 8 years ago. And then I worked my job for 3 years, and I worked my business like a part-time job for 3 years. Then when I quit, which was September 22nd of 2016, when I actually quit my job, I literally just switched over to full-time income coming from my business. And that has sustained me for 5 years. God has been so faithful and so gracious to me with regards to that. And so somebody's parked outside my house. And so anyhow, when you begin to look at that transition, it didn't need to take me 3 years, but I was fumbling and bumbling and doing it DIY all by myself. I didn't have any help and I didn't have any coach. However, when I switched over, I didn't skip a beat. I didn't miss no meals. I didn't have to cut back on it. I did get rid of the yard guy. I did fire Ricardo, but and I started doing my yard myself, but that was more for exercise than it was for anything else. But when you transition, when you do a good workplace exit strategy, you transition from one income to another income. You do not want to commit financial suicide by quitting your job too hastily. You want to make your job optional, then make it obsolete. You do not want to just get frustrated with your boss and give them deuces and walk out. You want to plan, and very strategically, because there's so many intangibles. Now, my last bit of advice is in the world of accounting. You definitely, if numbers is not your deal, if you don't do the accounting, go ahead and pay and make sure that part of your startup cost includes hiring an accountant, because you want to make sure you're in good standing with the IRS, and you're in good standing with regards to your county and your government, and being a licensed business, sales tax, employee taxes, all of those things. You want to have a good accountant that can handle that for you if that's not your forte. If it's your forte, then get you some QuickBooks and rock and roll with it, okay? So hopefully this has been helpful. This isn't the rah-rah type Facebook Live that I usually do, but I had someone in the Winning Life group, which is my Facebook group where I support women who are looking to elevate their lives. And she had a question about an LLC. You know, she's starting a business. She wasn't sure. So you know what I did? I said, okay, I'll do a Facebook Live on business structures just for you. And so this is going live on Facebook. It's going live on Instagram. I mean, not on Instagram, on LinkedIn and my YouTube channel. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you give me a question, more than likely, I'm going to present you a live to answer that question, because I want to be a support to women who support so many other people. We are so busy supporting our husbands, supporting our kids, supporting the people on our job, but who supports women? And so I want to be that support for women. So if ever you are in need of creating work-life balance in your life, you are ever in need of putting together a workplace exit strategy to make your job optional, or you are bogged down with analysis paralysis, indecision, and fear, and you are struggling with procrastination, then give me a call. I'll be more than happy to do a free discovery call with you and help you actually move from where you are now to where you want to be in the future. And we call that crafting your winning life. So this is Brenda Underwood, Coach BU, the Breakthrough Strategist, here giving you some tips, tools, and gems to help you elevate your life to new heights and soar. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave something in the comments. DM me. Let me tell you, I'm on every social media platform out there: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook group, Facebook personal page, Facebook business page, and my website. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you. And I hope that every little Facebook Live helps you move closer and closer to living your winning life. This is Brenda Underwood signing off. Peace and love. Bye-bye.